What's up, guys? Chris with Saglansky Cycle, and today we have the privilege of looking at this brand new 2026 CERVELO S5. Huge shout out to Felipe over at Epic Cycle in Fort Lauderdale for giving us this bike and let us take a deeper look and dive into it. I will be dropping his Instagram handle down below, so if you guys are interested in getting a CERVELO Specialized Pinarello, go ahead and shoot him a DM and he'll get you guys set up with the best price possible, and he'll hook you guys up with any parts and accessories. But looking into this bike is absolutely beautiful. This is the brand new CERVELO S5. CERVELO's claiming that it is 6.3 watts faster than its previous predecessor, than the older model of this bike. And what I do love about this bike, I mean, right out of the gate, it just screams Aero. Like from the top tube, look how wide those forks are. On that down tube, the way it has that, it's super thick and it has that cutout for the wheel, the rear seat stay and chain stay, and these deep dish wheels. This bike comes in around $4,350 US for the Di2 model, and for the SRAM Red, it is $14,500. One thing I do love about CERVELO is that when you purchase one of their bikes, no bike industry is doing this right now that I know of. They do a handlebar, I believe it is a one-time swap out for free of this handlebar configuration. And it looks like they have 9 different versions of it, but I think it's pretty cool. It's no cost at your CERVELO dealer. So on this bike, this is a 54 centimeter and the handlebar is a 42 centimeter width. But let's say if you wanted to swap it out and do a 38 and you wanted a longer stem, they would do that at no cost, which I think that's awesome. I mean, Specialized hasn't done that, Pinarello hasn't done that, and huge shout out to CERVELO for doing that. But not to mention, this color is super sick. It is a gloss raw carbon with some flake in there. Let's see if I can show you guys this. Raw carbon look. Got CERVELO there, kind of in like a black ghost finish, but full carbon fiber bike. This thing is amazing. It looks like a Batmobile on wheels. Group set on this bike is going to be the Shimano Dura R9270, which is Shimano's brand new group set for the year. And you have plenty of steer tube stack on there, so if you want to slam this thing all the way down, they give you enough spacers there. On the rear of the bike, we have the Selle Italia Novos Boost Evo carbon saddle, and I believe this thing comes in at a 145 millimeter. Yes, it is. Carbon rails. Seat post is the CERVELO seat post. I believe this is a 0 offset. You can get a 15-degree offset, but I love how CERVELO specs out their bikes, because not only if you wanted to swap out your handlebar for a different configuration for free, most guys are running a 0-degree offset seat post right out of the gate, or if they buy a bike like a Specialized S-Works that's like a negative 15-degree or 10-degree offset, most guys are switching to a Durimo 0-degree offset to be well over the cranks, right, for that power transfer. And on their cranks, they're speccing this out on a 54 and a 56 centimeter bike. You get a 170 mil crank arm length, which a lot of guys are going shorter. We see this with Pogacar, Jonas Vingegaard, and Remco Evenepoel. They're all running shorter crank arms, like 165 and 170s. But CERVELO is literally giving their bikes to the customer, what the customer's already doing, because most of the time when we buy these high-end bikes that are 14, 15, all the way up to $18,000 bikes, we're swapping out handlebars, seat posts, and crank arm lengths to our specific needs and what we're looking for to make the bike more beneficial and faster for us. But I think CERVELO has caught on, and through maybe a lot of Q&A, they're speccing their bikes out absolutely beautifully. If you get a 58 and 61 centimeter, it does have a 172.5 crank arm length. And then the C-post on that one would be a negative 15 degree in the rear. And then again, you have an option to swap out your handlebar for a one-time free, no charge from your Cervelo dealership. This being a bike from Epic Cycle, if you were to buy this, Felipe can hook you guys up and swap out that handlebar for you guys at no cost. On the drivetrain also, we have a 5440 chainring up front, and on the rear, just Shimano Dura's rear derailleur. Cassette, I believe, is a 1134 with a Shimano chain. Rotors on the bike, we have Shimano front and rear. I believe it's a 160 millimeter on the front and in the rear, which is absolutely fine. I'm not sure if on this model, if you couldn't swap it out and put a 140 up front. I know on some of my other bikes, I like doing that front and rear just because down here in South Florida, we don't have a ton of hills or mountains, so we don't need massive front and rear rotors, and the 140 look is super clean, but I haven't figured that one out yet. I'll get back to you guys on that. Again, looking at the crankset as dual side power meter for the 4i Precision, which is beautiful. We've known that these things run impeccable. Haven't heard really any big issues on that. Wheel set on the bike, you get a reserve 57 in the front, 64 in the rear, and these things are wrapped in a Vittoria 700 by 29C tire. I know in the previous model you were able to run up to a 35, I heard, clearance for front and rear. I looked on Cervelo's website and they said that 34 tire is the maximum clearance, which is more than enough. I mean, most guys are running bigger than a 28 nowadays. This comes with a 29 front and rear. I personally would probably run 30s front and rear and just run a really low tire pressure, like a 70 to 80 in between there, just to have a nice, plush, comfortable ride so these bikes don't beat you up. And like we talked about before, right, a bigger tire means a taller tire, means a more comfortable ride, better cornering, turning, all that stuff. So I love how the industry is going with a wider tire, and I love the beefier look. It just complements the bike so well. And with these wheels, looks absolutely beautiful. The bladed spokes on the reserve wheels look amazing. I mean, I love how this bike is like a turnkey ready, buy, purchase it. I mean, if you did want to swap out the handlebar, that's an option, but if you don't, it's literally one of those bikes where you could just like slap your pedals on it, get your fit on here, and you're ripping down A1A or wherever your local riding group meets up at, and have one of the hottest bikes out. I mean, this thing is just as aero as it can be. I love this. I felt for the last couple of years, a lot of the bike industries and companies were geared more towards climbing bikes, where the fork was just rounded, the down tube was rounded. They were nice, beautiful bikes, but I love aero. And if you talk to my buddy GC Performance Grant, he's the same way. Being down here in South Florida, like, everyone wants the deep dish wheels, the super wide fork, crazy thin aero down tube, and a 1x setup. So I mean, for me down here, I would definitely chop down this steer tube, put a longer handlebar stem combination on there, and then do a 1x setup. Being that this is Shimano, I would just probably do something, what was it, carbon tie? Oh no, carbon tie. I would do carbon tie rotors, and then for the chain ring, I would swap out and do one of those, who's the company that does the carbon? I have it on one of the other bikes. I can't remember the name down, but I would do a 1x setup on here, and then that would be it. And I think the bike would be more than enough for what we're doing and what we're working with here down in South Florida. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Oh, one thing I did want to mention on this bike, which I don't know how exactly true it is, but I heard they're having issues with the Garmin mount. I personally run with a Hammerhead Garmin mount owned by SRAM, and this thing fits on here perfectly fine for clearance, but I heard if you run a Garmin 1050 or 80, because it's longer in the back, it actually rubs against that part of the handlebar. So I'm not exactly sure how that would work, or if it's true or not. I know the Hammerhead and anything smaller than a 1080 would be great, but that's just something to keep in consideration. But that's it for this one, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.